Chapter 33, A Desperate Plea, and the word ladder is plea, flee, flew, flaw, flag, slag, slay, stay. Something about the colors he uses, you know, Selina Himes said, moving forward so that she was standing just beside Elizabeth as she continued to regard the painting of Nestor Falls. And how he places the objects in such fine relationship to one another, she pointed. And there's that lovely book as well, with such intriguing lines of words on it. She turned to stare into Elizabeth's eyes. Don't you agree? Elizabeth felt at least as panicked as she'd felt inside the Himes' room when she'd stood before the crate, but from somewhere deep inside, she told herself she would not show it. I know what you and your husband are up to, she said, and I know you stole a book from my room and that you are trying to get Gracella Winters back in Winterhouse. Selina's eyes flickered with astonishment, but she kept her cruel gaze on Elizabeth. You are such a clever girl, she said softly. You know so many things, it appears. She looked away and pointed to the painting. But do you know the key to unlocking this mysterious little puzzle before us? Even if I did, it would be the last thing that I told you. Selina let out what sounded like a low snarl. Very unwise to be so disagreeable, to be such a nuisance. She moved her face close to Elizabeth's. If you know something, you ought to tell me now. It will spare you so many difficulties later. I do know something, Elizabeth said. Selina arched her eyebrows in expectation. I know that you're not going to get away with anything, she said, and before Selina Himes could grasp what was happening, Elizabeth sprinted for the door to the portrait gallery and left her behind. Rush off, dear, Selina called. It won't help you in the end. But by then Elizabeth was in the corridor, racing to find Norbridge. She would have reached the lobby in less time than it took her to brush her teeth, had she not stopped when she noticed through the enormous picture window on the landing a figure on the bridge that crossed the creek. The light outside was nearly gone, but even through the snow that was now gently falling, Elizabeth could make out the scene as she stood gazing through the window. On the far side of the bridge, Marcus Q. Himes was using something, a knife or screwdriver, she couldn't tell, to scratch lines into the low brick wall. He stopped his furious scraping for a moment to adjust his stance, and then he resumed. This was all Elizabeth needed to see before she raced off. Slow down, Norbridge said to Elizabeth, when she found him in the corridor outside of Winterhouse, speaking to a cluster of bellhops and waiters. I need to talk to you right away, she cried. Norbridge excused himself, and the two of them stepped into a small pantry just off the kitchen. What is it? You look like you've seen a ghost. I don't even know where to start, Elizabeth said. Selina and Marcus are trying to get Gracella into Winterhouse right now. I'm sure of it. I just saw him out by the bridge, and she scared me in the portrait gallery and started talking about Nestor's code on his book. Please slow down. Just take it from the top, Norbridge said. You have to stop the Himeses right now. I'll tell you everything, but you have to do something about this right away. Norbridge bit his lip and looked off. Gracella passed away many years ago. I know what you think about the light you saw and what happened at the cabin, but Norbridge, Elizabeth said, you know something bad is happening. I know you and Leona know what, and there's more going on than you've told us. Gracella is here. They brought her body in that crate, and now they're trying to help her come back to life. I wish you would listen to me. He stared at her sternly, as if about to get angry or deny the things or tell her how she was mistaken, and then the lines of his face relaxed, and he simply said, Tell me everything. Everything you know. Within 5 minutes, and with little detours and explanations along the way, Elizabeth told Norbridge all of it. How she'd found a guide for children in the library on her first day and taken it to her room, but now it was missing. How she had visited the Himeses for tea and what they had said, and how she had sneaked into their room and heard a noise from the crate, and how she'd read the letter addressed to Selina, and how she was certain that Riley S. Granger had painted the portrait of Nestor and hidden a secret message in it, and that the Himeses wanted to discover. Listen to me, Elizabeth, Norbridge said when she was done. I want you to go to my room, and I need you to stay there until I come get you. We have our New Year's Eve party tonight, and I need to go about things carefully. But I will look into all of this. Do you understand? Elizabeth felt her stomach sink. She had just done everything in her power to help Norbridge and keep anything bad from happening to Winterhouse, and she was uncertain if he understood just how urgent the situation was. Don't you believe what I'm saying, Norbridge? He pursed his lips. Elizabeth, let me check into things and we'll sort this all out. But I just saw Marcus by the bridge. You can catch him right now. The most important thing is for me to follow up as I see fit, Norbert said. He twisted away from her in anger and opened the pantry door. A circle of workers were waiting outside. I need one of you to walk Miss Summers to my room, please, and see her in, he called. He looked to Elizabeth and held up a finger before her face. Stay there until I come for you. Norbridge, stay there until I come for you, he repeated. And then he left. 5 minutes later, Elizabeth was alone in Norbridge's apartment. Chapter 34.